And you know what I'm loving about this conversation? Firstly, this is one of the most profound conversations, and I'm so glad, and I think this is so needed that we got you on the show at this pivotal point, especially with the introduction of AI and voice text. Like I know when we met, there was Clubhouse. I felt like that was the lead into all the incredible things that you're doing in the world. But what I've noticed throughout this conversation is it's about listening, right? And I definitely make a concerted effort to listen, because I think everyone starts these podcasts, right? And what I've noticed is some people will speak and speak and speak and speak. It's actually not about you. I always make it about my audience. But what I love when you speak, not only do you speak absolutely beautifully, but you actually think about what you're saying and your pauses. And I really want to acknowledge that, because you're not just speaking, you're being very careful about your chosen word. It's literally like we're getting a demo right in front of us. So whoever's listening to this, I hope you're taking verbal cues and verbal notes from what Marshall is doing. But I am so engaged in this conversation because I want to actually speak about how important is it to have pauses when you speak and to give yourself time to really come out with the right words, what you're saying. Because I'm very engaged in this conversation. I know so many people listening. I'm going to say, don't give themselves enough time to articulate what it is they're saying, and don't pause very often. How can someone be more persuasive in building their brand online in an environment where voice is so important, like TikTok, like Instagram, where there's video and they place so much emphasis? I know I'm creative, right? So I place a lot of emphasis in making things look beautiful. But what's really important is how that message comes across through voice. So what tips can you give to us in terms of being more persuasive, and then also really connecting with the audience in a bright light that's going to be more attractive?
There's a book, Persuasion. I remember it's Robert Cialdini. I think that's the author's name. If I'm messing it up, don't come for me, okay? The book is Persuasion. If you Google that, the book will come
I'm gonna
up.
have to read that now.
And one of the things he said was he was writing the book, and he was in his office with all his academic papers. And he said that as he was writing the book, he found himself articulating very academic things. And he was like, I don't know if this is how I want this book to come out. Like, I'm super smart, I'm PhD and stuff. Like, this sounds really PhD. So he went home. He had pictures of the grandkids and the whole environment. And the book that we have was the book he wrote in that environment. So when we think about it, because there is a mix of visuals and sound and sight. Like if you watch a movie, the visuals can be crazy, but you have to have good sound. But there's a connection to that. If anyone's ever been dizzy, you see very quickly that the way that the eyes operate when we're dizzy is the vestibular system. The fluids are like out of whack, but that's a part of the auditory system and our balance system. So there's a strong connection between what we see and hear together as one sense. And so when you're in an environment like the internet, and it depends on what you're selling and how much you're selling it for, right? People are like, hey guys, they want you to buy like that $3 soft drink or maybe that quick, $9.99, that energy, that kinetic kind of like that works because it's like quick, make a decision right now, boom, and okay, cool.
Yes.
The greater the value of what you're selling, the tone's gonna change. So you go to a use. That sounds like that's like.
Well, I know even from my work that is so absolutely true. We're not a cheap brand, and I don't brand cheap brands. So it's how I articulate. I have to come across a certain way, and I explain this to clients. It's the same as branding. So agreed.